Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I once saw the most epic fight between two crabs. There were these two crabs on this log ready to get down, and this bird comes sweeping down and picks up one of the crabs, flies him all the way up into the air to the top of this tree, drops him into this nest. There's a bunch of chicks in this nest getting ready to eat the crab. The crab backs its way up to the back of the nest, falls all the way down, rolls back onto its legs, climbs back up to the log, and faces the original crab. What followed was one of the most epic fights I've ever seen.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Pacific Rim, which released in 2013 from writers Travis Beacham and Guillermo del Toro and directed by Guillermo del Toro. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Charlie Hunnam playing Riley Beckett. He is a Jaeger pilot, which is a giant mech, and he's using the Jaeger to try to defend the Earth from giant kaijus which are coming from a portal in the Pacific Ocean. Riley teams up with Idris Elba and Rinko Kikuchi to try to stop the new kaijus from obliterating the human race.
We're coming in too fast! We're coming in too fast! Brace for it, Marco!
So when the trailer dropped for this, I was like, oh, that looks pretty neat. And then when you see that it's directed by Guillermo del Toro, and you're like, did I read that right?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's been making some non-stop fantastic films, like high caliber films.
Yeah.
Like, would go on to win Oscars. This is right after Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
So you're just like, this man can do no wrong. And then you're like, did a studio just give this man the keys to the kingdom? Like, go make whatever you want. Don't matter what it costs, because this looks like $1 million. And I was like, why is Guillermo doing it? Has he been forced to do this by the studio? They're like, you do this, then we'll let you do whatever it is you want afterwards. Kind of deal. But it turns out that Del Toro grew up watching Japanese manga and anime and loved big giant kaiju Godzilla movies.
Hell yeah.
And so he's always just wanted to make one of these films. And so it wasn't a studio mandate, you must make this. It was a case of a labor of love. And he poured his heart and soul and his passion into making the most kick-ass kaiju movie that anyone, any member of the family can sit and watch.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah,
and then nobody went to the cinema to watch it.
Yeah.
That's... Can't win, can you?
Because people don't understand giant monster movies, really.
Well, it's because if you've seen one, you've seen them all, you've seen Godzilla sit on a building, you're like, I'm done.
Well, no, that's a blasé look at it. Like,
but I'm just trying to imagine the audience, because I was like, as soon as I saw the trailer, I reverted back to 12-year-old me going, I've got to see this.
Yeah. Well, like you said, normal audience members would have gone, oh, it's a giant monster movie. If you've seen one Godzilla movie, you've seen it all. I like the Matthew Broderick one. Isn't that one good? But yeah, no, like... When this one dropped, I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck? It's a fucking giant robot, fucking giant. And like, it just looked fucking amazing. And like you said, with Del Toro's name attached to it, I'm like, well, I fucking have to watch this movie. I love Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I love Hellboy, but Hellboy 2, I'm like, oh, you bastards, how did you fuck that shit up? Why didn't you just give him more money to make the third one? Why did you have to go after David Harbour and do that one with, what's her face, Alice from fucking Resident Evil, and that newest... I won't dwell, I'm not getting angry.
What could have been?
I'm on Pacific Rim, Like we said, I was growing up, and I was big into... Yeah, I was kind of into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I like the big suits. I like them fighting the monsters. And it wasn't until later on I realised that obviously it was the Japanese show, which was then edited with American footage. I just thought it was all one thing. I figured the Americans were filming it. And I always wanted, like, I don't want to say America, but I wanted like a non-Japanese monster movie. Because it was difficult for me growing up to watch these movies. They weren't being just shown on TV. I got a couple. I mean, I think the first one I ever watched was Ebra, Terror of the Deep, which at the time I didn't realize was a Godzilla movie until Godzilla turned up.
Nice.
I was like, oh, right. Buying the VHSs was so difficult, and the films weren't being released in the cinema over here until Matthew Broderick went, I've made a movie.
Isn't he the worm guy?
Yeah, he's the fucking worm guy. But this one, like Gary said, like, it sets it up so easy. So, like, even little Jimmy, 7 years old, can understand this movie. The movie starts by going, Kaiju, Japanese, big monster, Jaeger, German, hunter, also giant fucking robot. You're like, all right.
Yeah. This film wastes no time. Its first 5 minutes, the prologue, it's like, buckle up, pay attention.
Yeah.
Because it just goes, all this shit happened. For some reason, Kaiju started emerging out of the Pacific and wreaked havoc on the planet. We thought it was a one and done, but then a second one, then a third one, then a fourth one. And so the entire world's governments bonded and worked together to create Jagers.
Yeah.
These giant mech suits, which they also somehow managed to formulate the science behind it that two people can link psychically to control the giant mechs, because a simple Xbox or PlayStation controller was just too basic.
Yeah, well, I got to give the film that credit. Like, I was thinking about this when I was doing the review. Like, oh yeah, 2 pilots, that's just a bit much. But I get the right hemisphere, left hemisphere aspect of the brain for the robot. And then I also get that if they tried to just use one actor, you know, it would seem like if you just had Charlie Hunnam in the fucking pilot suit just running this robot, you wouldn't need anybody else, would you?
Well, I guess not, no. But then adding in a co-pilot adds in all the drama.
Yes, that's the thing.
And they do refine it and just go, you can't just have any old 2 people in there. These people have got to kind of be symbiotic.
Yeah.
And so it just so happens that these 2 are also brothers. So
yeah.
That's why there's a connection there, because you might not be able to... Well, they explain that there's a danger of getting lost in the mind because the minds become linked and your thoughts are my thoughts and your thoughts...
They call it, like, drifting. So you have to be drift compatible and you'll go into the other person's mind, and if they're dealing with some kind of hideous trauma, you'll deal with it as well, and that can come up at plot points in the movie just to keep the human drama going, which is all right. But, I mean, this opening sequence, like you said, the fucking... title hasn't even come up yet, and it's just like there's kaijus, cities are being destroyed, now we've got these giant robots, and here we have Charlie Hunnam playing Riley Beckett along with his brother, who isn't going to last very long, so I don't even remember his name, and the 2 of them are walking around sporting their like double jackets. You know, they're like World War II pilot rock stars.
Yeah, that's what the film explains, that Jaeger pilots, because there are only so many of them, they become like rock stars. They're not as disposable as the Jaegers themselves.
Yeah, but it's also the idea of the adrenaline coursing through your veins while you're driving this fucking giant, huge robot and smashing monsters in the face. Like, I bet it's better than fucking sex. Like, I bet Raleigh had sex in that pilot suit when his brother was alive. But... anyway, they come across this kaiju. I mean, they get ordered to stay on this line by Idris Elba's character, Marshall Stacker, and they see that there's a fishing boat out there, and the 2 of them are like, no, we're heroes, we're going to go get the fishing boat. And I kind of think this sequence is really looking quite cool.
Yeah.
It always seems to be raining in every fucking sequence in this movie.
It's just raining across planet Earth.
Just like, I put that down to maybe the toxicity caused by the kaiju and the robots. Or like, I know it's to cover the SFX sometimes because you know, it wasn't all sharp. But they find the fishing boat and the kaiju turns up at the same time. Was he called Knifehead?
Right, yeah.
Like, that should have been the sign, boys, to be a bit more careful. He has a knife for a head.
Right. I do like it. They pick up the boat and he's holding it, and you see the holographic representation of it inside the Jaeger suit.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? I'll put it down over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all of the waves are crashing everywhere. The sound of the kaijus, you can hear all of the mechanical parts moving and grinding.
Mm-hmm.
You got the roars and the sounds of the Jaeger. You've got the fishermen screaming. It's like all of this, like all the sound, the visuals, all of it is just so bloody epic. And then, of course, the destruction of the Jaeger starts to incur, where it starts to take damage, but it's getting in some punches. You're like, this is absolutely epic, and all I've ever kind of been... What I've been missing in my cinematic library is something on this scale that looks this good.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, it's not meant to be for this Jaeger, as it eventually succumbs to its damage, and there is a hole right through the cockpit.
I went through the hole. Only listen to me!
I mean, I love that shot where he comes walking out with the fog at the beach. You know, you got the dad and son looking for anything metal on the beach, scavenging. And he's like, oh, we never find anything. And then boom, boom, this fucking Jaeger just plants itself. And the way it kind of collapses like it's kind of human. And I just imagined, obviously, Charlie Hunnam inside has collapsed as well. And then he stumbles out to be rescued.
Yeah, now... I also just want to get into some of the behind the scenes of this film.
Okay, yeah, go right.
I was surprised at how much was practically built for this film.
Yeah.
That they built actual sets and they also built the cockpit of the Jaeger.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And like, because you would imagine it would be all green screen, but the fact that they built it and then they had the rigs, the harnesses that the actors are in.
Mate, it's Del Toro.
Exactly, and so that's how I know. Like, that's why I feel like this film also looks so damn good because so much of it was practical. Granted, the spectacle of the fights and everything else is all completely CGI.
No, the kaijus aren't real.
But it was the fact that the design team went and built over 100 kaijus and Jagers and then started to vote like which one would they actually take all the way through to the filming stages. But because they were modeling, they built physical models of them so that when they gave them to the 3D animators, they had these really good scale figures that were sculpted and fine-tuned so they could see how they worked. They could talk to Del Toro and they figured out how fast or how slow these things would move because of the scale of them. And then just the perspective that you also get a lot of the time early on when you go into the hangar and see all the Jagers in the background. When you're at street level, you're at their level, so you really get to see the scale of them. So it's just like all of the little things that Del Toro thought about in the pre-planning stages. It's the reason why I just think this film just looks so damn good.
It does. And I've got to give it, like, the flow of this movie, I've never realized before that it's just a movie of two parts. Like, the first hour, it's just over 2 hours long, and the first hour sets up Riley and the Jagers and what the Kaijus have been up to, and now that his brother is dead, it will jump 5 years. And over those 5 years, there have been more and more progressively more aggressive Kaiju attacks. They've gone from category 1s now all the way up to category 4s. You know, the Jagers themselves, they're doing their best to fight the monsters, but they're slowly getting whittled down one by one all over the world, and the Kaijus just keep coming, and the governments of the world are kind of, you know, not wanting to waste any more money on these robots and these people's lives, so they're wanting to actually try to build a giant wall to try to just stop the monsters from getting to any populated places. But you just have this first hour like the human side, because we only briefly see Riley at the wall doing some work, and like I said, the sheer scale of that, of how big this wall is, and everybody working together, and people just dying on a day-to-day basis, and then people just replacing them. It's only there briefly because then the marshal turns up and says, hey, we're about to be defunded by the governments of the world, and I've got this great plan of maybe sending a kamikaze mission of a Jaeger into the fucking breach, and I want you in there because I just know how tough you are. Oh, by the way, this is Mako Mori, played by Rinko Kikuchi, and she's my adopted kind of little daughter that I found one day when I was a pilot, and I've raised her.
Some excellent backstory and an inappropriate moment later on in the film.
But it's like I said, it's just that this first hour, and I was sat there and I was watching it for the review. I was like, wow, I kind of just want to get to the Kaiju battles. You know, that's what
we've had a tease of it in the first 5 minutes.
We have a little bit of flashes. We even see news reports of the Australian Jaeger. Was it Striker Eureka?
That's right.
And their pilots fighting one, but I'm not being negative or anything, because the second hour is nothing but kaiju fights. So I'm like, yeah, let's have the first hour.
Yeah,
let's build up some story.
I mean, yeah, it is, and when you come to a film about giant monsters fighting giant mechs, you're like, well, that's the story, right? But it's like, well, it is, but that's after 5 minutes, you probably get bored. And in order to stay invested, you need to care about the humans in this film. That's how films tend to work normally.
Yeah, but like with my experience with Godzilla movies, particularly the Japanese ones, they can kind of get the balance wrong.
Yeah.
You start with a bit of a monster attack, which is great, and then all of a sudden it's like 20 minutes of setting up the human stuff, which really isn't going to go anywhere until like 20 minutes later, and you're like, okay, but where's Godzilla? Is he going to turn up again? Yeah, he's going to turn up, and then he does, and he's there for 5 minutes, and he bugs off, and he goes some more, and then maybe some... Like I said, Del Toro did it well by going, actually, I'll stick all the human stuff in this first hour with a few little snippets of kaiju, and then I can fill the second hour up with nothing but kaiju, and nobody has to worry.
Yeah, it's the world building that he does in that time as well. So even though there are some very minor character arcs and character development, but it's mostly about the world building.
Yeah.
And also reestablishing this Jaeger and how he now needs a new partner. So starts going through the candidate process, and he's sparring with all these other dudes. But the chemistry, the tension's already there.
Yeah, of course it is.
And he's like, no, look, General, I'm done with it. Let me spar with her.
Yeah.
And of course they have a back and forth. They're keeping count. They're keeping even until Stackers is like, I've had enough. That's enough. That's because he's basically got a nosebleed and bottles out of there.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I think he also understands the danger for Mori. If she becomes this pilot, and the drifting factor, and
life expectancy hits almost 0.
Yeah, because he even says it to Riley later on. Like, the reason why they're so respectful of each other is because Riley is the only other pilot he knows who was able to walk a Jaeger on its own.
Yeah.
And that's what Stacker was able to do in one of his battles. But his Jaeger was so old and was a Mark 1 that had like a nuclear core, which has now irradiated him. So that's why he's slowly dying. And he's afraid he might lose Mori before he dies. And, no father wants to lose their child or whatever. So
there is some really good, genuine sort of human... like emotions here, and the actors, I mean, Idris Elba's really selling this as well.
Totally. And like I said, with Rinko as well, like she's very attractive, and she's able to stand on her own, but she also is still this tiny little innocent girl. Like, she wants to get inside a Jaeger and she wants to pilot it, but she's never fought a kaiju before. The last time she even came close to one, and we see it in a flashback, she was a terrified little girl. So when they do test Mori and Beckett together inside the pilot, inside the Jaeger, everything's going great. And then Riley has the memory of his brother, which Mori falls into, but then she falls into her own memory, so Beckett falls into that. And I mean, that is such a cool sequence where she's running down the street.
Yes.
The fucking kaiju's chasing her.
That little actress is selling that so well. She's so convincing, her fear as she runs and hides around the alleyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. Great moment. And again, like, they built the set as well, and they had everything like on a gimbal so it could shake.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's not just the camera shakes, but the actual like sets are shaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, they sold that effect really well, and that actress was superb. But yeah, of course, in Mako Mori, she's just absolutely catatonic now in the suit.
Yeah.
And so they literally have to pull the plug.
You just hold back your little girlfriend. One of you bitches needs a leash.
No, I think that's enough build up of the human factor. I think I'm just going to jump to, obviously, the second part of the movie.
Oh, we've got some annoying scientist characters.
Oh, let's do the scientists first, I suppose. I mean, they're fun.
They are, but they are also absolutely 100% this film's comic relief.
Yeah.
And you could edit them out of the film, and tonally the film would be stronger for it. But at the same time, you do need a little bit of levity, and you'd also, it's just annoying that the scientific information that we get in this film comes from this comedy double act.
Yeah, I kind of like, was it Bern Gorman who plays Dr. Gottlieb? Like, he plays the snotty-nosed, highbrow, smart scientist really quite well. And he's got the theory that the kaiju attacks are just increasing, and we're going to see maybe a double emergence soon, and then maybe a triple. Charlie Day. Now, I kind of think he's funny. I know there's a massive fan base for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I tried to get into once and then just realized all the characters are horrible people. And like, if I really want to enjoy horrible people being horrible, I suppose I might watch it. I mean, I like that movie where he had the little daughter. I think it's where he has to fight Ice Cube in the school, like a school fight or something. But like, yeah, after the first time I watched this, I did find him really irritating as this comedy duo act where the two of them are building up. Because Charlie Day plays Dr. Newton Geisler, and Geisler's idea is that he might be able to drift with a part of Kaiju brain and work out where they come from. And spoilers, the two of them, both their theories come true. In the movie, like there are double emergence of kaijus coming out, and he does manage to drift with a part of a kaiju brain.
He also early on explains, he was like, here's some meat from a kaiju from like 6 years ago, and here's one from 2 minutes ago, and they're identical. So I theorize that you're fighting clones out there.
They're just going to keep cloning them and sending them through, and this whole drifting thing works to go into the sequel movie, so that pays off, I suppose. But screw it. We're jumping the first hour and we're into the second hour where the emergence does come through. We do get 2 kaijus come through the breach, and we send out the Russian Jaeger.
They sent all 3 of them, didn't they? They sent the Russian one, the Japanese one, and the Australian one.
But the Australian one's asked to hold back because they're going to hopefully use the Australian Jaeger to drop a bomb into the breach when they get a chance. And they decide that they're going to send out the Russian one, Cherno Alpha, and then you've got the Chinese one, which is Crimson Typhoon, which has got 3 arms because the pilots are triplets and they use these. They don't last very long. Both those Jaegers are absolutely annihilated by the kaijus that they're fighting.
But I like
it's cool.
The 3-armed one, I like it's at one point where it looks like it's been grabbed by the kaiju, but then it spins up, then it turns itself around and then throws the kaiju across the ocean. I was like, it's badass.
Yeah, but after a while I'm like, stop throwing them because the kaijus are landing in water, which softens their landing, and they just get back up and fucking attack you. And then one of them kind of launches like acid.
Yeah, it does at the
and then there's one with like an EMP in it, which shuts down the Australian one.
I think this is also found out. The film doesn't go out of its way to explain it to you, but if you connect the dots, you're just like, okay, so Newton just mind melded with the brain bug. And then he's in Hong Kong with Ron Perlman, and he explains to Ron Perlman like, oh yeah, I'm mind melded with this thing. Ron Perlman's like, oh, and you also know that they're a hive mind, you absolute idiot. Do you know what you've done?
You've basically given them the keys to our world.
Exactly. And so it's then awesome that the next wave of kaiju that come through all have been cloned or modified to specifically take out the remaining Jagers, and they absolutely annihilate them. It's like, that Russian one is the most heavily armored, one of the first Jagers ever built, and it's like, and it's defeated immediately.
It's acid, it melts their cockpit.
It's horrible because you see the pilots underwater, and then there's just an underwater explosion. You're like, I hope it was quick. Damn.
And one of those pilots was an ex-WWE wrestler, who I remember as the Kurgan. He's a great actor. He's been in many different films. But that sequence where it just gets crushed, you feel bad. And it's even worse when Crimson Typhoon gets taken out, because their head was like kind of separate to their armor. And so the kaiju just ripped the head off, which then just made the Jaeger just absolutely fucking useless and killed all 3 pilots. But They use the EMP to take out Striker Eureka, which leaves the Australians just kind of standing there doing nothing. And Stacker has to send out his wild card, even though he knows it's going to be dangerous and he knows it's going to be an issue. Beckett and Maury run, get in gypsy danger. They get flown out there, and I'm not gonna fucking lie, it's fucking sweet. Fucking watching this giant robot beat the fuck out of these two. I don't mean to swear too much. I know I could probably detail it in better words, but I don't give a fuck. It's a giant fucking robot beating the fuck out of 2 fucking monsters. I absolutely love that shot where he's walking down the street dragging that tanker behind him like a sword.
I was just like, that thing is just going to break in half. Probably break in half before you even fully swing it.
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
No, but it's like, this is when the film just goes, yeah, it probably would, but it wouldn't be cool, would it? So let's have him belt the bloody thing several times with it.
This is after they fought the one at the dock.
Right.
And they've killed it, and they got their plasma cannon up close. Like, this is the thing. And also, as well, for sidetrack, The governments of the world were able to build a fucking plasma cannon, and they go, hey, let's not make more on the wall. Let's just make a wall.
Yeah, now I understand, because I was thinking like, well, why don't there's a million other things they could probably do than spend all their money on giant mech suits.
No,
but
more plasma cannons.
Mech suits are cool.
Yeah.
And this film is about mech suits fighting, giant monsters.
Well,
so
that's what I'm saying. Like, you built a fucking mech suit with a plasma cannon and went, oh, that plasma cannon was a bit expensive. Let's not make another one.
Right.
We'll just make a shitty wall. No, make a bigger plasma cannon. But anyway.
Well, here's the thing that also bugged me is that, he grabbed that ship all the way from the ocean and smacked the kaiju with it.
Yeah.
And then when they're on their knees again, Maker's just like, I know, let's use the sword.
Yeah.
I was like, what fucking sword? And why didn't you start with that? I was like, oh my god, this is like Power Rangers.
It's so good. But yeah, he uses the plasma cannon on the one at the dock, and then they get that line of, like, we should check for a pulse. And then they shoot it like 5 more times. Oh no, he's dead. And then when they get to the one, because the one that's made it to the city is actually looking for Newton.
It would appear that way, yeah.
It's been finding him, and he was hiding inside one of these evacuation bunkers, and it's going for him. But then they turn up and they start fighting him, and the fucking kaiju grows wings and flies them up in the air. And that's where Mori's like, oh, I've got a sword here. And he's like, well, fucking use it. And so they chop that thing up, and then they come flying down, and they do the superhero landing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool as you watch them break through the clouds. It's like, oh my god.
Let's not think about the geological fucking trauma they've just put through the earth.
There is one hell of a shockwave that goes out afterwards. But that's it, like when the Jagers walking through the city, the devastation it's causing, cars flying everywhere, the debris, the destruction.
Oh, insurance companies are gone.
Oh,
they don't exist
I mean,
anymore.
for them, it's been almost, 15 years of kaiju destruction? I'm sure they've worked something out at this point. Yeah. Construction's, booming everywhere. Yeah. That's what I like in the beginning, is, you see the skeletons of some of the kaijus, and they're building around them.
Yeah, yeah.
So just little snippets like that. You're like, oh, they've kind of thought about lots of things here.
Yeah. I love that shot as well. When he's fighting the kaiju, and the fist comes flying through the building, smash all the way through these offices, all the way through these floors, and everything zooms down until he hits that desk with the little kind of swinging ball thing.
The Newton's cradle.
Yeah, love it. Tap.
Yeah, it's perfect. And do you know what? That was a practical set.
Oh, of course it was.
It was actually a miniature, but then when you find out that it's a miniature, you're still just like, that's why it looks real, because it was physically there, and they destroyed it physically. Obviously, the fist was, the green screen moving in to destroy everything, but miniature sets, they still look so good today.
So good. So they come across the body of the kaiju, and Hannibal Chow, played by Ron Perlman, is there, and he's got this whole black market thing going on where they utilize every single part of the kaiju and know how to strip it and do all these other things. But it turns out that this one kaiju happens to be pregnant. So a baby kaiju comes out, and it eats Hannibal Chow first, and then it strangles itself and dies.
They think it's dead, right?
Yeah.
It strangled itself. It thinks it's dead because it was born premature and strangled on his umbilical cord. And he throws his knife at it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he's turning around and walking away, and then just eats him mid-sentence. Just like, that's cool. It's great to see Ron Perlman. It was great that he was kind of a douchebag in this, and he got eaten.
He works well with Del Toro. I mean, I read in the notes as well that Perlman had actually gone for the stacker role, but Del Toro was like, look, it'd be too much like Sons of Anarchy. I know the two of you will work really well together, but I just need to kind of keep you two separate, which I thought was a kind of cool idea.
Yeah.
Keep Charlie Hunnam doing his own thing. But it's the baby's brain that Newton says, right, okay, we're going to try to drift with this while it's still fresh. And Gottlieb is like, look, let me come with you, because just like the Jaeger pilots, we need 2 pilots to be able to do this. So while they're doing that, Stacker's just like, look, the dad pilot of the Australian Jaeger has injured himself. He can't do the plan that I want him to do, so I'm going to have to do it myself. and our plan is to walk to the breach with a bomb and drop a Jaeger into the breach with the bomb and hopefully destabilize it. Gypsy Danger is going to run point with us. But the scientists realize, using the brain drifting, that actually that won't work. The breach is only activated by the DNA information from a kaiju. So unless you're a kaiju, you're not getting into the breach. I remember the first time I watched this, I was like, okay, so where are kaiju?
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to just pour some kaiju juice, guts all over a Jaeger.
Wait, just stand in your mech suit while one comes out of the hole, stab it in the face.
Climb inside.
Or just fly it down.
See, this film faced that problem of it being a violent film, and they were like, well, how do we keep the age rating down? It's like, well, we'll just have to be very minimal with the gore, or just make it super colourful. So they went, how about neon blue light?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that works as blood, and of course it looks cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's really interesting as well that with all the action and all the craziness going on in the movie, that like you don't need offensive language to try to emphasize exactly the trauma these guys are going through.
Yeah.
You get it. Like, especially like the Australian dad and son like relationship. I know they're just side characters and you don't need anything from them, but it's refreshing.
Yeah.
Because
I actually found I resonated with that emotional beat in the film more than the main characters.
Yes, so did I,
like,
yeah.
because the father-son dynamic has kind of been on-off throughout the film. They didn't set it up really, really well or anything, but the actors delivering those final moments really worked for me.
Yeah.
More so than any of the other characters, which seem to have invincible plot armor.
Yeah.
I was like, the Australian two, I was like, you don't have plot armor, so this feels really, really emotional right now.
Yeah, especially when Stacker's like, okay, I'm going to replace the pilot and I'm going to go in with your son. And, I think it's Hark, I think he's the dad. He's just like, make sure you try to bring my son back. Knowing full well that there's a high chance that he's not going to. But he's also very proud of his son because the son had been going through these relationship issues with Riley all the way through the movie. And you don't want to hate him because you kind of feel like, yeah, Riley's come in as the new Luke Skywalker character. He's got the power. He's going to save the world. But he's still got to prove it because he's been gone for 5 years. But they get in their Jagers and they head out into the ocean. They head to the breach. And there's two kaijus that are just kind of defending the breach. And then the first ever Category 5 comes through the breach to kind of face them all. And it's just a mad fucking battle underwater.
Yeah, it's hard to describe because you're just like, it's like there was punches and there was throws and there was grapples and there was kaiju blood and there was mech chunks being thrown around.
Like the first time I watched this film, I don't think I watched it in the cinema. I think I watched it on TV and I think it was too dark. Or maybe I watched it in the cinema and I felt it was too dark then. So I was a little bit concerned about coming back and watching it again for this review. But I have it on Blu-ray. Don't ask. I have no idea where the Blu-ray turned up. Somebody must have bought it for me years ago. But I was like, hey, this is a good time to watch it on Blu-ray. And I did. And I'm not that much of a guy, but this movie was touched up in the Blu-ray enough that when they were underwater, I could see the detail of the kaijus. I was genuinely scared because they kind of were double the size of the Jagers.
Yeah.
And the Jagers are massive. And I'm like, how is all this going to, turn out?
On my count! Rio Jets! 3, 2, 1, now!
Before we do get to the final act of the movie, I got to give it to Idris Elba doing his Independence Day 4 speech.
Oh, God.
Like, this movie is basically Independence Day, but with kaijus. And he does his little speech there, like rallying everybody behind him to say, yeah, this is going to be the day we defeat the kaijus. But unfortunately, their Jaeger, Striker Eureka, gets heavily damaged and they have to detonate themselves to try to wipe out the Category 5, I think it is. Or, or at least heavily injure it and one of the other kaijus to give Gypsy Danger the chance to be able to go in. Because it turns out she's nuclear as well. So Riley comes up with this great idea of, look, if we can get her into the breach and go down, then we can detonate the core of Gypsy Danger.
Yeah.
And that's what they go for.
Gypsy Danger's already battered. It's already missing its arm.
Yeah.
Its leg is like hanging on, but they limp in. They literally fall into the breach.
Well, they run up, they stab that kaiju, don't they? And they fall with it into the breach.
Yeah, because that moment where he guts it right down the middle. Yeah. So he goes in with the kaiju. So he manages to get into the other universe.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just floating when you see this little platform with these, I don't know, aliens.
Independence Day aliens.
Independence Day aliens that look around and go, oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's a bit like that. Like, hey, that's not supposed to be there, is it? And you had this risky moment where Maury's oxygen was going, but Beckett was able to retrieve her, and then he gets his own life pod going. And it's great to think that, like you said, it's a real set that they've made. So watching Charlie Hunnam run around and get all these switches ready and all these different things ready so that he can launch off in his pod, that's a real pod. It's a real rim. He's actually doing all that. So the intensity is there. But yeah, he flies off and the fucking robot goes boom.
Yeah, big satisfying explosion to end your film.
Yeah.
Reactor meltdown.
Yeah, and then of course we cut back to mission control and they're like, oh, we can see the life pod, send the choppers.
Yeah.
And you see the planes flying over in formation as they're on the life raft. You're like,
they saved the world. And if you stay past the credits, Ron Perlman's alive.
Of course he is. Brilliant. Ian, what were your favourite scenes?
Oh no, I don't like this film. I think it's boring and tiresome. The fucking giant robot shit, man. Like, has it got a kaiju in it? Yes, that sequence. And is that one got a kaiju? That one. And the robot over there. And I mean, all of the special effects stuff is just absolutely brilliant. You know, the battle sequences are just great to watch. I'm just a simple child. I'm a simple man when it comes to it. You know what? I do like some of the human acting elements. I like Clifton Collins Jr. You know, when he's there and he's the guy that helps Beckett at the beginning when his brother's still alive. And then when they meet up later on and he's still there trying to help them. He's trying to pull out all the power circuits when Maury has got the plasma cannon range. She's about to blow the whole base up. And he's like, I've just pulled the power out. You know, he's just a nice little friendly kind of tech guy. You know, it's like the two scientists. I know I get kind of annoyed with Charlie Day, but he's funny. He is funny in this when he's like riding, you know, or drifting into a kaiju brain, and then he's there and the blood's tripping out his nose. And he's like, love it all. I'll finish with the little girl sequence as well. I just love the little girl sequence. You kind of forget that you are just in a flashback because it seems so real that you think that the rest of the movie is just going to carry on from that point. But then it just feeds into the relationship between Beckett and Maury. Yeah, there are a lot of great cinematic, epic action battle fight scenes in the film. Those really are the highlights. It's why you've come to see this film, and they deliver. So every single encounter with the Jagers and the giant monsters is brilliant. I mean, I'm not like a Pacific Rim like uber fan. I don't remember the names of all of the Jagers, and I don't remember the names of all of the kaijus. Yeah. But man, they look cool, and they're all distinct and individual. So like one had like the mouth on its tail that gets frozen at some point. Yeah. You got the one with the big like fin on the front of his head. Oh, that's Knife Head. Knife Head, Knife Head, right? Yeah. So like they were all different, and obviously there was the flying one, and then the big Category 5 one. Yeah, great. I think my favorite shot in the film, though, it is like a comedic moment, and it's one we've already talked about, where the fist goes flying through the building wall and stops when it hits the Newton's cradle. And then it just starts. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Great moment. So yeah, like this, I'm usually one to be like, special effects terrible, take me out of the film. But I struggle to recall a single shot in this film where I'm just like, badly composited. Could have done some work there. Like, now we usually. We talked about the contrast of the film being fairly dark. It's almost always at nighttime. It's always raining. It's always water. But as an animator, looking at this and then thinking of the animators, you had to animate the ocean and animate all of the frothing waves and the splashes of water particles as things are moving through falling rain. But it's all simulated and looks
brilliant here.
Yeah.
Like, I can't fault any of it. There's nothing that stands out which makes me go, that's terribly or awfully composite, when it just so seamless. And then in contrast to, say, one of the reasons why I cannot watch the Transformer films, where it's just a blur of stuff happening. Here, you can see everything. You get the nice close-ups. You see the details of the way the mechanism works. Like, it looks fully functional, like that it is built for purpose. So all of the details and the behind the scenes that went into making all of the Jagers to how it actually looks on screen. Like, usually I'm like, well, where's the character stuff? But it's the Jagers.
Yeah. See, I think Del Toro learned a lot after Hellboy 2. When you look at that Golden Army and the way those soldiers work, you just make one and then you just replicate it 20 million times. But then when you see them in motion, you're like, oh, wow, they've animated a lot of detail into that. Yeah. So then Del Toro just went, let's do that, but bigger.
Yeah. But it's the individuality of the distinctiveness of all of the different ones.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to see the other, 100 that they discarded before this film. Yeah. Well, Iain, do you recommend Pacific Rim?
Yes, most definitely. I mean, what more do you need? It's Del Toro. I'm still trying to find a bad Del Toro movie.
Good luck.
And good luck. Every time I watch one of those movies, I'm like, that was fucking good. This one's got fucking giant robots in and fucking giant monsters. What more do you want? Okay, the acting is all right. They do a good job. Somebody did some good special effects somewhere and there's some good continuity. But then on top of that, giant fucking robots versus giant fucking monsters.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm recommending Pacific Rim, as this was a big, dumb action film about giant robots versus giant monsters done right. Director Guillermo del Toro really delivers the visual spectacle here, showing his clear love and passion for the genre. It's a blockbuster film with a childlike sense of awe. And it's also a humanist message film with memorable characters and a rich world that feels developed. The cast was great. Idris Elba really added the gravitas to make this work and for the peril and stakes to be well felt, while Charlie Hunnam and Rinko Kikuchi really make you care. The special effects are outstanding, the detail staggering, and the fight scenes epic, with a great soundtrack by Raymond Dewadi to really heighten those heroic moments. There's very few negatives to list here, and only minor complaints really, that most of the action takes place at night or in the rain or in the ocean, obscuring some of the, cool visuals. And that the two comic relief scientists really ruin the tone somewhat. But none of that really matters when you look at Pacific Rim 2, which only has spectacle and no heart. So, yeah, I absolutely love this, and I feel like this is a must-watch. Go big or go extinct. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Where is my goddamn shoe?
Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I once saw the most epic fight between two crabs. There were these two crabs on this log ready to get down, and this bird comes sweeping down and picks up one of the crabs, flies him all the way up into the air to the top of this tree, drops him into this nest. There's a bunch of chicks in this nest getting ready to eat the crab. The crab backs its way up to the back of the nest, falls all the way down, rolls back onto its legs, climbs back up to the log, and faces the original crab. What followed was one of the most epic fights I've ever seen.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Pacific Rim, which released in...
You did so well, mate. I did so well.
I just needed to survive to the cut. What the fuck was that?